Good afternoon, guys. It's Mr. Landis again from Shadow to the Light, and this is video Why Are We Drinkers. It's going to go on my YouTube channel, and we did a video a few days back giving a brief, shall we say, description of why people are getting into trouble with addictions, but we want to focus on why alcohol. And we mentioned that the easy accessibility of alcohol was one of the huge factors. The fact that it's celebrated, the fact that it's everywhere around us. Now, we celebrate work events, weddings, birthdays, we commiserate in funerals with it, we wet the baby's head. We also do something that this video wants to centre a little bit on, is we believe it's our self-prescribed doctor. And I mentioned before in the video number one, that it's basically the cuddle that we never had. It's that warm, glowy feeling. It's that feeling of love, maybe that feeling of validation. Maybe it's that drop of confidence. Maybe it's the joining in with the crowd, peers and that. And alcohol is very dangerous because it's, whether you like it or not, it's so widely accepted in society, and it's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. And I hope my facts are right here, but if you think about it, many people have said that it's one of the most, like a beer, is one of the most refreshing drinks that you can have in the summer. And I think that comes from a primitive part of us where hundreds of years ago, when there was contamination of water, the only way you could rehydrate is by drinking beer and stuff like that, because it would, with the hops and that, it would somehow cleanse whatever you want to call the liquid that was then water, but then it made beer. There was a process to it. Gin's been around forever. Whiskey's been around forever. Wine, malt, this type of stuff. So we have, if we believe in transgenerational passing down of habitual ways of being, we have it in all of us. That's why some nations, i.e. Japanese, they can get drunk very quickly, because if you think Celts, Vikings and that, because of their body mass and the cold winters and that, they're built to store and be able to absorb. But what can happen is now we've started getting in tune with being able to almost self-diagnose our problems. Like if we feel miserable, let's go out and get a live night. If we feel we need Dutch courage, let's have a live night. If we feel that we've lost someone important to us, let's go out and seek refuge in that. If we've had a breakup, let's seek support in that. But here's the thing, the reason alcohol plays such a huge part in our lives when we choose to self-medicate with it, it's inexpensive, it's sociable, it's, as I said, it's widely accepted, but also it's subliminally programmed in us. Everywhere you look, I know the drink companies now are starting to restrict the advertising a little bit, but everywhere you look, whether it's in shops, supermarkets, it's right there in front of you. Now, we said yesterday in the video that all the time it's on the shelf, it won't harm you. But imagine if you grow up in a household that's all that was there. So as a child, you're not seeing that alcohol's creating the problem. What you're seeing is it's a part of the, let's say, the landscape of your daily life. It's in the front room, it's in the dining room, it's in the dinner table. And you're not quite picking up on why mum and dad are fighting. You're not picking up on why there's maybe not school clothes, maybe why there's not the life that your parents could believe in. I'm just using this as an example. You're picking up and, oh, it's normal to drink. So you're being programmed as a child why you're going through the ACEs that we talked about, adverse childhood experiences, which creates the post-traumatic stress that we suffer from when we have long-lasting, let's say, emotional reflex memories that create, these uneasy feelings in us. You then start memorizing in your mind that your parents, your way of life was always with alcohol. Now, it's perverse in the sense that the very thing that's causing you to self-medicate is the very thing that was, in essence, the reason why your parents created the ACEs that you are now suffering from. So, again, we always have to forgive. We always have to understand that normally the parents who drink a lot as well, it's because they're coming from a place, let's say in the 50s, in the 40s, when there was wars. Let's say in my heritage, there was like the famine, there was lack. So people would want to forget all of that. They would want to get through their day. And as we said, the cheapest way to do that is on a shelf, it's on the corner, it's right in front of you. What happens then? We grow up, and what's lacking in our life through the ACEs, it could be non-validation, it could be dissociation, depersonalization, it could be hypervigilance, it could be hypertension, it could be maybe your parents were so toxic that you then started adapting, becoming a serious people pleaser. This starts causing pain. It starts creating an inner being in you that you don't recognize, but you don't know how to get to it. You don't know how to understand it. So all you're looking for is the surface level fix. You're looking to heal the adaptive mindset, the adaptive behaviors that these traumas and these ACEs have brought on. So let's say your father would shout at your mum, and the very fact of this intense verbal abuse that you were around silenced your voice, your inner voice. As you grow up and you lose the ability to use your voice, you can become a people pleaser, you can become super, as I said, hyper vigilant, nervous, you can have no confidence, you have no self-identity, self-respect, self-awareness. So, bam, you go out one night, your friend goes to you, we're going to a party, have a drop of this. Then the unicorn appears. All of a sudden, all them inner chains, them inner locks, they get set free. But what happens, guys? They get set free, and then they go through the washing machine of alcohol, and then they get projected out. So let's say someone, as I just mentioned, grows up in an abusive, a verbally abusive or physical abusive household, dysfunction, and they lose their ability, their voice, and they become timid. There's a high possibility that when they drink and that they then let out their voice, it comes out in anger, maybe it comes out in bullying, maybe it comes out in, they become abusive in drink. And it's not that they're wanting to be abusive in drink, it's coming out in a perverse way. So the pain in their voice, the pain that they haven't, that never been able to express themselves, is coming out through the alcohol key. What can happen with that is we believe that confidence, we believe that if we're enabled in that, like our friends say we start drinking young and we go out and we do some stupid things, we believe that behaviour is the norm. And we develop a go-to place. So if I want to go out and have fun, if I want to go out and be confident, I'm going to pick up a beer, I'm going to pick up this, and I'm going to keep projecting. And then we get into relationships and we become verbally abusive in relationships. Maybe we become sarcastic, again, another form of anger. Again, it's not quite clearly speaking your mind, but there's a passive, a hidden passive aggressiveness in sarcasm. Maybe you become jealous when you have a lot of alcohol in your system, or you go out for the night, you go out with your girlfriend. Again, because you haven't got the confidence, the self-awareness, you've been told that your needs don't matter, that you are not important. You look across the bar and your girlfriend's talking to someone, all of a sudden you can believe that she's taking the mickey out of you. She's them things that your dad said to your mum. Maybe she's them things that your mum said to your dad if you're a girl in a relationship. And these are the things, how it gets twisted, how we believe it's the solution until it's not the solution. If you notice you've started turning to alcohol for reasons that are not just social, and they are to awaken a part of you that you feel that is in need of awakening, then it's likely that you are self-medicating. It's likely that you are using alcohol as a tool to pacify something in you. And the tips I would give you is, if you have had a really good drinking session and you start noticing that your friends or your peers start saying, "Oh, Dave, last night, man," and you always seem to be the focal point. I mean, even, "Oh, you were such a giggle last night," or "Dave, you was a bit strong last night," or "Sharon, you was all right, giggle last night dancing on the table," or if you start noticing that's a reoccurring day after, where your friends they're letting you know, that would be something I'd watch for, because you're being took over. You're allowing this wild voice in you to come out, and it's not in control. Number two, if you notice that you are drinking alone, just to, again, and you start reflecting on, your younger years, and you feel yourself seeking not revenge, but almost there's a slight resentment coming in you. Maybe like your job, you've started to resent your job. Maybe you feel like you deserve better, but you deserve better without trying or looking to re-educate. That could be something to look out for. If you are always the one saying to your friends, "Come on, let's go out, let's get hammered, let's do this." If you are going out to get drunk, and here's the things I want you to watch out for. I don't know what got into me last night. I was out of my box. I was out of my mind. I don't remember a thing. They are secret clues that you are looking to get out of your mind. You are looking to get out of your box. You are looking to forget. And what is coming up in place of that is the resentment, is the invalidated child, is the young child that you've intoxicated. So you've opened the door to this young child that's hurt and scared. But what you've done is you've allowed him out, but you've intoxicated him. So then a situation could happen, and they haven't got the ability to check in with reality and go, "My girlfriend is not talking to someone to make me jealous. She's just being friendly. That person's not staring at me in the pub. They're just," as people do, we check each other out. That's what people do. But the young child who's now become, the young hurt child who's now become allowed out into this world, but intoxicated, doesn't stand a chance. Doesn't stand a chance. Now, the sad thing about this is it takes a long, long time before people actually finally wake up and go, "This can't go on anymore. This can't go on." I very rarely will they go, I've ruined too many parties, I've ruined too many dinner parties, I've ruined too many weddings, I've lost too many jobs, I've broken up with too many relationships because of it. Because, as I said in the first video, the very thing that gets you into this mess is the only thing that makes you feel good about yourself. So it's the chicken and the egg scenario. Becoming aware of why you first started drinking is all important, because when you decide to give up, and if you contact me at Shadow to the Light, and I can guide you with the structure and the plans of how to deal with it once you've decided to get dry, you must go under the surface and find out what you was trying to replace. There is no other way. There's no other way. I've seen too many times when people have decided, let's say like weeds in the garden, let's chop the heads off of the weeds at surface level, but underneath there's still all that roots and all that, and they're just going to spring back. It's the same if you just go, oh, I've quit alcohol, I feel great. You will still walk around with this breeding resentment inside you, this hurt child. And if you go into my website and look at identification of parts, it's the hurt child I'm referring to is the one that becomes the unstable outcast, and then it becomes the unstable supervisor, and then it becomes the unstable troubleshooter. It's all in the parts identification, www.shadowtolightexperience.com. We do exercises at the centre that will help you locate them, talk to them, soothe them, and then validate them. But that's for another video. What I'm asking here and trying to suggest is, with anything that is a core problem, you must understand where it is, get it out, and make peace of it. Alcohol is not the enemy. The suppression and the continuous repressed emotions within us, they become the enemy once they're, let's say, shook up with a bottle of beer, shook up with a bottle of vodka. You know the old story, there was a jar of black ants and red ants, they were all on top of each other and they were fine. Once you shake them up, then there's hell. And that's the same with, you'll notice this when people is fine on beer. As soon as he drinks whiskey, it's that shaking up effect, because there's some alcoholic beverages that have the ability to bring out that hurt child, intoxicate it, and then let it free with an imaginary verbal machine gun. And God forbid whoever's in their way. You know, when people say, I don't remember what I've done last night, I can't think of what I've done last night, they've been appalling to their girlfriend, they've been appalling to their boyfriend, they've been appalling to their friends. It's because the person that's been brought to the surface through alcohol is someone that's in almost the unconscious, but you're just exposing them. Why do you think some people, when they drink so much alcohol, they literally black out? They black out on the settee. It's because that person maybe hasn't been unlocked to come out, but the person they're trying to run away from is blacked out, because the more you drink, you are looking more and more to get that person out of you, who I call the source, unstable outcast, unstable supervisor, unstable troubleshooter. It's difficult. It's, and I won't ever lie to anyone I speak to about alcohol. It's very difficult to, if you've gone over a certain limit and it has become such a huge role in your life, you must do it this way. You must locate the problem, which is alcohol. You must at least reduce your intake, and then you must work with coaches like myself or other coaches around your surrounding areas and find out why you chose alcohol and why you got into alcohol, and be honest and upfront with yourself, and to admit you need help. And that's the first part of the problem. That's the first part of the problem halved. Okay, once again, it'll be on my YouTube channel. It's Why We Are Drinkers. This one was maybe just more of a talk about the reasons and what alcohol does to that outcasted part of ourselves. Thanks very much for listening. This is David Landers, Shadow to the Light. Please contact me on www.shadowtolightexperience.com, and I'd love to hear what you think of this video. Cheers now, bye.